Okay, so tool number 8, beat to beat. And this is more like a diagnostics tool for me. What I mean by that is I use this to find out where the problem really lies with a phrase. So, and it's very systematic, and it's also in a way similar to speed bursts, but it's also a good companion to the speed burst. But I just show you with this Bach example again. So what you want to do is you can think about the formula x plus 1, and x in this case is the subdivision that the phrase uses. So if it's 8-note triplets, then it would be 3 plus 1, and that's because you want to connect from beat to beat. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So you start on the beat and you end on the next beat. And if it would be 16th notes, it would be x would be 4 instead, so 4 plus 1. Let's just play that major scale again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and the difference here with this one and the speed burst is that it's a fixed length depending on the subdivision, whereas the speed burst we kept getting longer and longer phrases. And also another difference is that we will be starting on each note of whatever pattern we're working on, and that will reveal some pretty awkward fingerings. That's just like in the speed burst when we went from the end to the beginning. You saw some kind of weird fingerings because we started in the middle of the phrase, and this is sort of the same deal. So, but I'll just explain it on this example, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So you start by choosing what you're going to practice, and we have this Bach thing that we're going to practice, the first phrase. And again, you want to pick up not too long of an example because it's kind of time consuming to do this. But also, once you've done this to a section, you'll know exactly where to spend your time, and that's super important. So we'll start with the first beat to beat, which would be 1, 2, 3, 1. So down, up, down, up. And what you want to do is to set you want to use a metronome when you do this. Now I will just have my foot here, but and set the tempo to about 80% of the final tempo. So that's good starting point for this, because similar to the speed burst, we're not playing more than one beat at the most. So in this case, it's 4 notes at a time. So you can, even if you're nowhere near 80% of the tempo for the whole phrase, you should be able to get these short fragments up to that tempo. And those that you can't do that with, you know that you need to work extra on that, because there is something technical that's not working for you. So that's what I mean by diagnostic tool. So we have the first phrase, and again, just put on the metronome. And plan before you start, and think about rat, relaxed, accurate, and the tone. Okay, so if that feels cool, just play it a few times, and if it works, keep going. And now when you keep going, we won't start where we stopped, which would be kind of logical, right? But we want to find all these, go through all these nooks and crannies of the licks, so we can find the real problem areas. So we'll start on, it's kind of easy to remember because we will start on each note of the phrase. So first we started with the first note, now we'll start with the second note. And like before, be very careful to start with the right pick stroke when you do this. Okay, so now we'll start with an upstroke and we'll go 3 plus 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1. So it will be up, down, up, down. Okay, and again we always start on the beat and end on the beat. So this is not where it would fall rhythmically when we play the real example, but we're not concerned with that right now. No, it's purely a technical thing to find the problems. So let's say that works fine. We move on, so we take the next note in the pattern, and as always, if you get confused, start from the beginning, so you make sure that you have the right finger and the right pick stroke. And then you count 3 notes, plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. So play that. Okay, so let's say that worked great. Let's move on. The next note. So upstroke, down, up, down. So 3 plus 1. And let's say that this is hard to play. Let's say you have to struggle to play this pattern. That's great, because then you know that, okay, here's one of the weaknesses that I have. One of the things that stops me from playing this at the desired tempo. So that's a good thing, because it won't do you much good to practice the parts that you already can play, because when you're practicing, you sort of want to have that big picture approach where you play the whole phrase and then you zoom in on different parts. So, and when you zoom in, you really want to zoom in on the hard parts. So, and all the parts that are already kind of easy or okay to play, at least compared to the hard parts, they'll get their practice just by you going through in the big picture mode, so to speak. Okay, so we found this phrase, and now we can take that phrase and move it around on the fretboard. Well, at first we can just try to see if we can make a loop out of it. So we use the looping tool. So we have a very convenient loop here, actually, because we have an even number of notes. So even though the original phrase is in triplet, we don't care about that right now. We just convert this to 16th notes or 8 notes, whatever you want to do. But in this case, I'll just do it in 16th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can use, well, like I said, the looping tool. So we start, this is the first loop. Second, start on the right pick stroke. Next. Next one. So I would take a pattern like this and just move it around on the same string group or change string group, and even though if I change to this string group, I would get a total different interval structure. I don't care about that, because now it's a purely technical thing to get used to. And so I move it around like that just to get some variation and get a different feel for different part of the get a feel for a different part of the neck as well. So and also remember this pattern. You can go through the accents, you know, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so and anything you can think of, and the rhythmic variation as well, which is in actually a later video, but there's no real order to these videos anyway. But you can check out the rhythmic variation video where you take in this case a 4-note group, and we just apply triplets to it. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. So you see that rhythmic variation video for more thorough explanation of that. But you get the idea. So you just take this problem area, write it down if you need to, so you know what to work on. And whenever you have some time over, you just take this pattern and work on it for 5-10 minutes. And that's a really efficient use of your practice time. But when you do this beat to beat thing, you find the problem area and you try out some of the different tools, and if it helps and you can play it at the 80% speed, that's great. You can move on, and you might not even need to practice it more. But if not, just notate it and keep going back to it for a few days, and you'll see that it really gets better quickly. But what you want to do is keep going through the rest of the phrase, because it might be a few more patterns in here that might be even harder for you. So maybe you'll get 3 or 4 different phrases like this that you need to work on. So, another thing, you can use speed bursts here as well. So shut off the metronome and do reverse it. Oops, long pick stroke. So that's a good thing to try out as well. It's usually the first thing I try out. If I find something that's hard, I break it down to just 2 notes, 3, 4, or however many notes there are in the beat to beat thing. And that helps a lot in most cases. But if it's a real tough one, I just do like I said, that I notate it and keep going back to it for like 5-10 minutes at a time for a few days, and usually it gets a lot better pretty quickly. Okay, but so you just keep going through the phrase. So we're at the 4th one, so we start on the next here. So again, I start from the beginning, so I know that I'm on the right finger and right pick stroke. So it's here. And again, this is with the metronome at 80%. And if that feels cool, next one. Let's see. So next one. And so on. So you go through the entire phrase like this. So, and you stop when you get to the last note of the phrase. You don't like this. So it would be, this would be the last one. So this is super helpful to finding the technical glitches in whatever you're working on. So highly recommended. And again, try it out and combine it with everything else. But most importantly, find whatever's not working for you technically here, and make that a part of your small practice routines that you can do during the coming days or sometimes weeks if it's really hard. But usually it's just a matter of days before if you apply all the different techniques we talked about. And since it's such a small thing such a small amount of notes that we're practicing, it usually improves much quicker than the usual when the regular way of practicing, where you're just playing endless scale patterns and never really addressing the specific problems you might have. So hope that works as well for you as for me. So, and see you in the next video.